Hashem, today's daf yomi is Makkos daf Yud Makkos 10, and we're going to start today's daf yomi on Yud Amud Aleph, around 10 lines from the top. The Gemara has been discussing the three Ari Mikvot which are set up on the land of Aver Yardin, and then the three cities of refuge which were set up corresponding to that, parallel to that, in the land of Canaan. Today's daf yomi, the Gemara asks. The Gemara starts by saying, "V'suleka, are these all the cities of refuge that there are?" V'aksiv, but doesn't it also state V'aleim titnu arba'im u'shtayim? Here, it doesn't say in the pasuk that you're supposed to set up an additional 42 cities of refuge, not just 6 cities of refuge. So Amar Abaye, hello, kolto Spain ladas, Spain shalodas. So hello ladas, kolto shalodas, and kolto. So the cities of refuge, they are able to absorb the people, whether or not the people come in there with intent or not, whereas the other 42 cities, they only serve to absorb the people, and provide refuge if they have intent to achieve refuge. But if they don't have intent to achieve refuge, then they don't provide refuge. So the Gemara asks another question: Chevron ir miklat too? Is Chevron actually a city of refuge? But it states that Kalev es Chevron kasher diber Moshe, that God gave to Kalev Chevron, just like Moshe spoke. And so therefore, how could it be one of the Levitical cities if Kalev is the one who owns the city? So Amar Abaye, Parfa Daha, that Kalev did not actually get Chevron, but he got the villages and the courtyards that were next to the city. And they were called Chevron, like the suburbs, and that's why it was also called. That's what Kalev was getting. So now the Gemara asks another question: is the Kedesh Ir Maklat Have? Is Kedesh also a city of refuge? Vaksiv, Ari Mivtzar HaTzidim, Tzer v'Chamas, Rakos v'Kinaret, v'Kedesh v'Adrei v'Ein Chatzor. So we see from here that Kadesh or Kedesh was one of the fortified cities in the portion of Naphtali, that they were large cities. And that is a problem if we want to say it's also a Yer Mikla, because we learned in a Bryce, Vitanya Aram Halal, these cities, Ain Olsin or Son of Tirin Katanim, we don't make them into small villages. These cities, the city of refuge cannot be small villages. Will Krachim Gedolim, and not large cities. Ela Ayaros Benonios, but middle of the road cities, average cities. And so how could Kedesh have been, if it was a large city, a fortified city, how could it have been a city of refuge? So Amar Rav Yosef, so Rav Yosef explains, Tarti Kadesh Havai, there were 2 cities that were called Kadesh. One of them was a fortified city, and the other one was an Ir Miklat. And Amar Rav Ashi gives an example. Could go in Slikum, Akra de Slikum. Like there's a fortified city that's called Slikum, and next to it there's a village that's called Akra de Slikum. And that was the case with Kadesh, that there was a fortified city, and next to it was a smaller city, an average-sized city, which is a city of refuge. So the Gemara now says, Gufa, Aram, these cities, we don't make them, these cities of refuge are not very small, not very large. They're middle of the road cities. And we only place them if there's a water source nearby. If there's no water nearby, we bring them water. And we make sure there's a marketplace. There has to be a population, a sizable population. And if there's too few people living there, we have to add. Let's say the number of people who are let's say there are a number of people living in the city itself. So the Kozain are the people around there, the Dirain are the people actually living there. So if the number of people living in the city are diminished, we bring to them hold on the graphic of Kohanim Yisrael, so that they shall be able to live in that city. And we don't sell in the cities, we don't sell weapons in the city. We don't want the blood avengers to be able to purchase them there and kill this the accidental killer. We also don't sell weapons that could be used to trap animals, because with them there you could also kill. That's the position. Shame Parson Vishavan, and both agree Shame Parson Misochan Mitsudos. Both agree that we don't that we do not, we don't make their traps for animals, and and also we don't weave rope there to make ropes. Kidei regal go adam so that since we'd be selling these traps and these ropes, that will the blood avengers would come there, and so they'll be in that city, and it'll make it easier for them to kill the accidental murderer. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, Micro, what's the verse that you need to that from which we learn that you need to prepare for the killer everything he needs in the city of refuge? Says the verse is that he runs to one of these cities and he lives. And from this we learn you have to let him live in a way that he gets life from being there. So he needs all these things. Tana Talmud Shegoah Megal and Rabbo Imo. If a student has to go into exile, his Rebbe has to go with him in order to teach him Torah. Shnemar V'chai. So you have to do something for him that he'll have a life from it. So from here we see that you shouldn't teach a student who is not Hagun, because if he is not Hagun, he's going to come and force, if he's not a good student, he's going to force the Rebbe to go into exile with him. If the Rebbe has to go into exile, then the whole yeshiva goes into exile with him in order to continue to study Torah. Amy, is this really the case? Is this really the case? But don't we know that the Divrei Torah themselves, which should be able to absorb and provide protection? So why does he need to go into exile? So the Gemara says, it says with respect to the Arya Mikot Ksiv Basrei V'Zos Torah. This is proof that the Torah itself provides refuge for us in life. So why does he need to go into a city of refuge with the yeshiva? So Gemara says, Lokasha, Haba Ina De'ask, Be Haba Ina De'ask. If a person is actually studying Torah at that moment, then the Torah provides refuge. But if the person is not studying Torah, then the Torah does not provide. At that moment, the Torah doesn't provide the refuge. The Torah provides the refuge at the moment you're studying. By same or alternative answer, Mike Colton, what does it mean that the Torah provides refuge? The Torah does provide refuge, but not from a Go Hadam, not from a Bod Avenger, but from the Malach HaMavis, from the angel of death. Rav Chisda was sitting and studying in the base medrash. The angel of death couldn't touch him. Whenever you're studying Torah, the angel of death can't touch you. Because there's never a moment where he stops studying Torah. So the messenger of the angel of death went up and stood on a pillar in the base medrash. And then Paka Arza, so this pillar broke. Pishas, the Rav Chisda got distracted for a moment from his studies, and that's when the angel of death's messenger was able to take away Rav Chisda. Amarav, and there was a very similar incident, you remember, from David HaMelech and Maseches Shabbos, Lamed Amabez, and also Rav Nachmani in Bamitzia 86, a very similar stories which Gemara could have also proved from. Why was Ruvain listed when the verse talks about the Ari Miklot and it says Betzer, which is listed first, and that's in the portion of Ruvain? So why did Ruvain get the merit to be listed first amongst those tribes that have a city of refuge in their territory? So the Gemara explains because he's the one who started first to save Joseph, as it says, Vayishma Ruvain, Ruvain heard what the brothers planned to do to Joseph, and he saved him. What do we do with the verse states? And Moshe separated 3 cities on the other side of Jordan, Mizrach HaShemesh. So the sun is towards the east. Now this is presumably extra. So Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu Moshe Hazreach Shemesh Jerusalem. Be concerned to prepare the sun for the murderers in the Ari Miklat. Meaning to say, let the sun rise for the murderers. So that give everything that they need. Or alternatively, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, Hazreach Shemesh Jerusalem. No, God said you caused the sun to rise for the murderers. You allow them to survive by sending up the Zari Miklat. What do we do with the verse that it says in Koheles? Oev Kesef or Yisba Kesef. One who loves money will never be satisfied with money. Umi Oev Bamon. Woe to and somebody who loves the people will he not have crops. So Oev Kesef or Yisba Kesef. Then Moshe Rabbeinu there refers to Moshe. Moshe has loves the mitzvahs, which compared to money, but he never had enough. He always wanted more mitzvahs. Moshe knew that the three cities on the other side of the Jordan were not able to absorb until the three cities in the land of Canaan were able to absorb them. So even though Moshe knew that he was going to die when he set up these cities, this was the last mitzvah he was able to do, so nevertheless he did it right away. Who is the one who refers to one who loves the people will he not have crops? Who is appropriate to teach Torah in public? Somebody who has all the grain, meaning to say somebody who's an expert, Rashi says, in verses, in Mishnah, and Halachos, and in the Agados. So, this is what it says. Rabbi Elazar Maidel said, so who is the one who will be singing the praises of the greatness of God and letting everybody know about all his praises? Lamina LMOL, Baruch Hashem. To whom is it appropriate to talk about the greatness of God? To one who can talk about all of his tehillah, all of his praises. Rabbanan Vitema Rav Barmari Amar Mi Ohev Bemon Lo Tvua, which means Kol Ohev Bemon, whoever loves the people, he loves to teach the students, Lo Tvua, to him will be, and to his descendants will be a Tvua, meaning to say the Torah will return to him and to his descendants and his future descendants. Yahu Be Rabbanan now, the Rabba Braid the Rab. The Rabba Braid the Rabba. The rabbis looked and saw that this was Rabba, the son of Rabba, who fulfilled this verse, because since he loved his students and he loved the Torah scholars, therefore merited that he should have children who were Torah scholars. Simon Ashi Lomod Ravino Lamed Ravashi Amarko Lomod Bamon, whoever loves to teach the people with a lot of other people studying Torah, Lo Tuvua, he merits to receive the Torah. V'ainu Damar Rabbi Yossi Bar Rabbi Chanina, Ma'idach Siv, what do we do from the verse? Charav El Abadim Vino Olo, that a sword for the individuals. What does that mean? There's a sword on the necks of those who hate Torah scholars. Meaning to say, it's a lashon saginor that there'll be a sword on the necks of those individuals who study individually. Those Torah scholars who only study by themselves without having a chabura, like we have in our Daf Yomi group, we have a chabura. But if we would just study by ourselves, chas v'shalom, this curse applies. Well, not only that, elamitapshin, they're also foolish for doing that. They don't get smarter. It says here, asher noalnu. And so there, noalnu means will become foolish. So noalu is an expression of tipshus, of being foolish. Well, not only that, they sin, as it says, Vasher Chatano. Also from here, Noalu Sarei Tzon, meaning to mistake, the princes of Tzoan made a mistake. They were sinned. And so we see that Noel means to sin. Ravina Amar, whoever loves to study with a lot of students, he will merit Torah. Rabbi, this is what Rabbi says. There's a lot of Torah that I studied from my teachers, and from my colleagues, I studied even more than from my teachers. And from my students, I learned more than from everyone. That our legs were standing in your gates, O Jerusalem. What caused our legs that they will stand in war? Shara Yerushalayim, the gates of Jerusalem, Shayu Oskan b'Torah, because we were sitting there and studying Torah. What do we do from the verse? What do we do from the verse that states Psalm of ascents to David, I rejoiced when they said to me, "We'll go to the house of God." Amar Davav Pnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ribono Shel Olam, Shemati B'nei Adam Shaya Omer Matai Yamu Zaken Zeh. I hear the people saying, when will this elderly man, i.e. David, die? Yavu Shlomo Beno v'Yivna Beis HaVachira, and that's what's preventing Shlomo from building the Beis HaMikdash. And now Rega, and they'll go up to Jerusalem, the Samachti, and I was rejoicing. So Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, no. God says, no. Your time will come, but it's not yet your time. Kitov Yom B'Chatzarecha Me'elef. One day in your courtyard is better than 1,000. Meaning, Tov Yom Echad Shata Osek B'Torah L'Fanai. One day that you study Torah before me is better than Elef Olos. Is better than 1,000 Olos. It's better than one day of your Torah study is better than 1,000 sacrifices that your son Shlomo will eventually bring on the altar before me. Says the Mishnah, we have to prepare a path for those who are. We have to prepare a path for those who are running to the city of refuge. Tanya, Miklat. Parshat Terachim. That was written refuge on top of 10 Amud Beis. It was written refuge on the city of refuge, on the ways to get to the city of refuge. Kadesha Yakir Rotseach, so the Rotseach would recognize the way. V'yifno Hashem and go there. Amar Kahana Mikra. What's the pasuk? Tachilcha Derach. It means prepare for yourself a journey. Prepare for yourself a path for the journey. He used to open up his drasha with this teaching. It says, Tovi Yashar Hashem, Alken Yorecha To'im Baderach. Hashem's ways are righteous, therefore show the sinners the road. If for a sinner, Hashem shows the path. How much more so does God show the proper path for the righteous? He says, meaning to say, it says the person who did not plan it, and the God arranged that this person would show up and get killed. So it says, Kasher Yomar Mashal Kadmoni. So just like the Torah tells us, there's the Mashal of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the following: from the wickedness, something wicked will come out. God arranges everything. What are we talking about? Let's say there are two people who killed somebody. One killed them accidentally, and then another one killed them intentionally, but there was no witnesses, so they both think that they're getting away with it. And so God arranged that the one, so God arranged that they both come to the pundak, to the inn. The one who killed intentionally, Yoshev Tachas Asulam, will sit under a ladder. The one who killed accidentally, Yori Basuam, will come down the ladder. But Nafal Argo on him, will fall on him and kill him. So then the one who killed intentionally, Nerag, he's now killed. And the one who killed accidentally, go away. He now has to go into exile. This idea that Hashem sets up the path for a purpose and the path that he wants to go on. This idea is found in the Torah, the Nevi'im, and the Ksuvim. The path you want to go on, God leads you down that path. Minat Torah, from the Torah, it says, because God says to Bilam, do not go with them. But afterwards, God says to Bilam, I see you want to go. Get up and go with them. Also see this in the prophets. I am Hashem, your God, who teaches you to go on the path that you want to go on. Meaning to say, the path that you chose to go on, that I help you to go on that path. We learn it from Mishlei. If for the mockers he mocks, and for the humble he gives favor. Meaning to say, if a person wants to come with the mockers, he gives them the other mockers. It's not you. God does not stop you from joining those who are sinning. Let's say there's a murderer who runs to the city of exile. Umatsu Go Adam, and the Go Adam finds him on the path. And he kills him. The Go Adam is exempt from death. Because Rav Huna is in the position, when it says in the verse, and he will not have a punishment of death, that refers to Go Adamu, that verse refers to the blood avenger who kills the person who accidentally killed him, who killed his relative. Mesa, the Gemara says, what are you talking about? We have a brisa that says, saying no, that the murderer who killed accidentally has the right to go to the city of exile, that he does not get sentenced to death, not to the blood avenger. Maybe it refers to the blood avenger. But he didn't hate him yesterday or the day before. It refers to the murderer, not to the blood avenger. So the Gemara says, no, this brisa. The Bryce is not like Rafuna, but Rafuna has a different source. We have a different Bryce. The Tanya V'lo Mishpat Mavas, but go Adam Kasabadaber. And when it says V'lo Mishpat Mavas, it does refer to the blood avenger. This is the Bryce for Rafuna. Atamer Bego Adam Kasabadaber went over Tzech. So America Lo, so now we'll meet Moshe Shoma. Hare Tzech Amor. There is already a part of the verse that refers to the murderer when it says he didn't hate him the day before. Amani Mekayim V'lo Mishpat Mavas. So what do I do with the fact that the pasuk says he does not have mishpat mavas? The go adam kasmadaber. The pasuk is referring to the go adam. So when the person goes to the city of exile, we give him 2 Torah scholars to accompany Shema. So the Gemara wants to prove that this is not like Rafuna, because Rafuna says that the blood avenger could kill him on his way. So we learn in the Mishnah that when he goes to the city of refuge, we give him 2 Torah scholars to accompany him. Shema Yargenu B'derech. Maybe the blood avenger will kill him, but the Torah scholar will speak to him. What will he say? Isn't he there to warn him, to say don't kill him? Mar says no. The katal bar katala. Isn't it to tell him that if you kill him, you're going to kill him? So it's against Rafuna. You're going to get killed if you kill him. Mar says no. Because the Tanya no, they don't warn him that they hope he put to death, but they speak appropriately. They say to me, they say, don't act like a murderer. This guy did it accidentally. That's what they say. Rabbi Meir Omer, the murderer speaks by himself. It says, that Chacham said to Rabbi Meir, no, that's not the case. There are a lot of things that person can't do by himself, but he needs an agent. And so too, it's better to have a Torah scholar speak on his behalf. Amar, it says in the Brisa that the Torah scholars say to the blood avenger, he didn't intend to do it. It happened accidentally. Pshita, is it really the case that he has to say that it was accidental? If he would be amazed, he wouldn't go into exile, be killed. Yes. No, he still says, because this could be at the beginning. Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda or Betchila, at the first, both the shogeg killer and the purposeful killer, we run to the city of refuge. And the court sends for them and brings them from there. Mishan is chayav misa, whoever is liable for death. Hargu, they kill him. Shenemar, as it states, for shalchuzik nei yirovo kulo samisham. And there's no also be a go adam ames. But Mishalon is liable, whoever is not liable for death, patru. Then they exempt him, as it says, shenemar v'tiwa say eda. Mishan is chayav golos, and whoever is liable for exile, machzir no solam koma, to return to his place. It says v'yishivu oso ha'eda el ir meklato asher nas shama. Rabbi Omer, Rabbi says me'atzman ain't going. They go into exile on their own. Tisfurin hein echad shogav echad mezik kotos, because they are of the position they thought that the city of refuge also absorbs you if you killed intentionally. But they didn't know it only absorbs you if you killed accidentally, not intentionally. And now the Gemara says, let's say you have a city of refuge, as the majority of the people there are murderers, it no longer works as a city of refuge. As it says, not if the majority of the people are saying the same thing. You need to have the majority of people not murderers. If there aren't any scholars there, it no longer serves as a city of refuge. But you need the elders of the city to be there. And now, once we're talking about that, dispute. One says the city of elders will absorb, and the other says if there's no elders there, it will not absorb. According to one who says it does not absorb the Ba'in and Zignei Ayir, we need the elders of the city. And there aren't. According to one who says it absorbs mitzvah ba'alma. Then when it says, even though there are no elders, it doesn't really require the elders. It just says it's an ideal mitzvah. The Irsha Ein Bazakinim, Rabbi Ami Barabasi, Chad Amar Nasaba Ben Surah. One says if there are no elders in there, one says it could still make a city rebellious child. Chad Amar Ein Nasaba Ben Surah. One says you can't make a rebellious child if it's not there is no city of elders. Manda Amar Ein Nasaba Ben Surah because Ba'in and Ziknei Yiro V'Leko. According to one who says that we cannot make a rebellious child there because we need Ziknei Yiro, and they don't have them. Or Manda Amar Nasa Ben Surah Mora. The one says you can still make a ben Mora because it's not a requirement that you have the elders. It's just the ideal. The Irish ain't Bazakinim. Rabbi Yami Rabasi Chadamar Revia Egla Rufa. Chadamar Einam Egla Rufa. They have the same debate as it relates to the Egla Rufa, which is a person who breaks the neck of the heifer. That this is, if a person is found dead, then you have to bring an Egla Rufa from the elders of the town to the closest town and break the neck of the heifer as a way of atonement. So let's say there are no elders in the town. So this is the dispute between Rabbi and Rabasi, whether or not you can bring this Egla Rufa. We need the elders of the city. The one who says you do bring it, he's in a position, mitzvah alma. It's not a requirement, it's just ideal. Parshas Rotzlim, Lashon Azar. So the passage of the murderers in the book of Yoshua, it's said in a harsh manner because in all of Joshua it says Vayomer Hashem, but when it comes to the passage of the Ari Mikvah, which is said at the end of Joshua in chapter 20, it says Vayidaber Hashem al Yoshua more, Daber b'nei Yisrael more, Tnu Lachem as Ari Mikvah Asher Dibarti Elechem Biyad Moshe. And there it says, give them these cities of refuge that I spoke to you in the hands of Moshe. So why is it said in a harsh manner? So it says, Torah, because these are words of the Torah, meaning to say that these are the words that Hashem commanded will follow the mitzvah of the Torah of the Parshas Arei Miklat. And so the words of the Torah you have to speak in a harsh manner. But all the other statements, we never find when God spoke to Joshua, fulfill the words of the Torah. So therefore it says Amiro. Memra, the call Dibor Lashon Kasha. The Lord says, you mean every time it says the word Dibor, it's said in a harsh manner? Is that really the case? In Kedichsev, yes, it is. That because it says in the Pasuk, when the brothers returned to Jacob, they said, Dibera ish Adonai Aretz itanu kashos. They thought they were describing Joseph. They said, this man spoke to us in a harsh manner. Tanya, but is that really the case? But doesn't it state in the pasuk, Malachi, Az Nidbru Yirei Hashem Ishal Re'eu, and the Nidbru, Ein Nidbru Lashon Nachas, and everybody will speak in a calm manner. Chen Omer Yad Bera Amim Tachtenu. The people will speak under us, which is in also a soft manner. The Gemara says Diber Lechud and Yad Ber Lechud. There's two separate words. Diber is harsh, or Daber is harsh, and Yadber is soft. Simone Rabbana Mehamane V'Sifrei. Puigi Ba Rabbi Yaakov Rabbana Chadomer. So why was the parshas of Ari Mikvah said to Joshua in a harsh manner? So there's a dispute between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbana Chadomer Neishashim. One is because Joshua delayed in setting up these cities after the division. He didn't do it right away, and so therefore it says in a harsh lashon. The Chad Omer, one says, no, because these are the words of Torah, and so therefore it has to be said in a harsh manner. And it says, Yoshua Esadvar Ma'ela B'Sefer Torahs Elokim. It says Joshua wrote these words in the Sefer of the Torah of God. But it says that Joshua wrote these things. One says refers to the last 8 psukim of the Torah. Chad Amar Shmona Psukim refers to the last 8 verses. Chad Omer Ari Mikvah. One says refers to the city of refuge. Bishlam Amad Amar Shmona Psukim. One says refers to the last 8 verses. Hainu Dersev B'Sefer Torahs Elokim. That's why it says he wrote it in the Sefer of the Torah of God. Elamad Amar Ari Mikvah. My B'Sefer Torahs Elokim. According to one who says that it refers to the Ari Mikvah, why does it say Sefer Torahs Elokim? So this is what it means. No, you read it. Joshua wrote these words in his book that were already written in the book of God. So now the Gemara brings a dispute with respect to a Sefer Torah that was tied up with cotton. You're supposed to you're supposed to sew together a Torah scroll with what's called gidin, which are the like ligaments that connect the parts of the body or of the animal to each other. The different parts are connected by what's called sinews or ligaments. So Sefer Torah Shatafru B'Pisha, let's say the Torah scroll was sewn up with this pishtan, with this flax, Pigi Bar, Rabbi Yehuda Vermeer, Chadam or Kasher, Chadam or Apostle. It's a dispute, is it kosher or disqualified? Oman or Apostle. One says it's disqualified. It says, with respect to tefillin, the Torah of Hashem should be in your mouth. The iskish kol Torah kol tefillin. All Torah is compared to tefillin. Ma tefillin, Allah Moshe Misinai, Torah from begidin. Just like tefillin, it's a law from Moses Sinai. You have to sew them with gidin. Av kol Torah the gidin. Also, everything has to be sewn together with gidin. The idach, whereas according to the one who says the Torah scroll is sewed with flax is kosher, it's kiyiskash mutar b'ficha. In what respect is it compared? That it says that you're only allowed to that is only the case they're compared, that you can't write it in with respect to with an animal that is kosher to be put in your mouth, but to the other halachos of tefillin that are not explicitly written, lo is kosher. It's not compared, and so therefore, even the halacha is that even though the tefillin have to be tied with gidin, according to the second approach, a Torah scroll cannot, but could be written with gidin itself. Amar Rav Chazinan, it could be written with kain. Amar Rav Chazinan lohu tefillin de bechabibi tefir bekitna. He says, I saw these tefillin of my uncle Rabbi Chia that they were tied with flax. The halacha is not like that. You have to tie them with gidin, the tefillin, and also with paskin the Torah. Obviously, has to be written. It has to be sewn together with gidin. So this is a big question, because how could Rabbi Chia have tied his tefillin with cotton? It goes against our practice today, but that's what he did. Okay, first of all, I want to stop here. I want to do a little bit of a schedule. Baruch Hashem, this afternoon.